Queen Elizabeth I's birth and early life 1533 to 1558. Elizabeth Tudor was born on September 7, 1533, at Greenwich Palace. She was the only surviving child of King Henry VIII and his second wife, Anne Boleyn. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Anne Boleyn's legacy is inextricably linked to her role as the mother of Elizabeth I. Her tumultuous marriage to King Henry VIII, driven by his desire for a male heir and her captivating intelligence, ultimately led to England's break with the Roman Catholic Church. Despite her tragic execution on charges of treason and adultery, her daughter, Elizabeth, would ascend to the throne, becoming one of England's greatest monarchs. Anne's influence, though cut short, shaped Elizabeth's upbringing and reign, with the Queen often seen as a reflection of her mother's sharp wit and political acumen. Thus, Anne Boleyn's significance is cemented not just by her own dramatic life, but by the remarkable daughter she bore. Elizabeth's birth was a great disappointment to her father, who desperately wanted a male heir to secure the Tudor dynasty. Just 2.5 years later, in 1536, Henry had Anne Boleyn executed on charges of treason and incest, and their marriage was annulled. Elizabeth was declared illegitimate and removed from the line of succession. The declaration of Elizabeth as illegitimate and her removal from the line of succession occurred as a direct result of her mother, Anne Boleyn's, own fate. Anne Boleyn did not go anywhere after this. The annulment of her marriage to King Henry VIII and the declaration of Elizabeth as illegitimate were part of the legal proceedings that preceded Anne's execution. Anne Boleyn was beheaded on May 19, 1536. Her daughter Elizabeth was declared illegitimate and deprived of her place in the royal succession shortly thereafter. She was later restored to the line of succession by the Act of Succession in 1544, following her half-brother Edward and half-sister Mary. After her father's death in 1547, Elizabeth was placed in the household of her stepmother, Catherine Parr, who soon married Thomas Seymour. Seymour's inappropriate and lecherous behavior toward the teenage Elizabeth created a scandal, and she was sent away. Seymour was later executed for treason in 1549. When her younger half-brother Edward VI died in 1553, Elizabeth's half-sister, Mary I, ascended the throne. The horrific death of Edward VI, he died in 1553, most likely from tuberculosis. He had been ill for some time, with his health deteriorating significantly in the months leading up to his death on July 6. His symptoms, including a persistent cough, fever, and shortness of breath, were consistent with the disease. Some contemporaries suspected he had been poisoned, and some modern historians have suggested a suppurating pulmonary infection or lung abscess, but tuberculosis is the most widely accepted cause. The king's surgeon found two putrefied ulcers in his lungs after his death, which would be consistent with a severe tuberculosis infection. Edward's death at just 15 years old brought an end to his brief and tumultuous reign, paving the way for a succession crisis. Mary I, a devout Catholic. Mary sought to reverse the Protestant Reformation in England, leading to the persecution of Protestants. Because Elizabeth was a Protestant and a potential rival to the throne, she was imprisoned in the Tower of London for a time and then held under house arrest. Mary I, often known as Bloody Mary for her persecution of Protestants, was a devout Roman Catholic who sought to reverse the English Reformation initiated by her father, Henry VIII. Her reign was marked by her unyielding efforts to restore papal supremacy, which resulted in the burning of nearly 300 religious dissenters at the stake. This period, however, should be viewed in the context of the religious intolerance common in 16th century Europe. Historians do not consider her to have been crazy, but rather a monarch driven by strong religious conviction and a lifelong commitment to the faith she had been raised in and for which she had endured. Add significant hardship. Mary I died on November 17, 1558, at the age of 42. Her death was likely caused by stomach cancer, although some historians have also suggested it was an illness exacerbated by the influenza epidemic sweeping England at the time. She had endured several false pregnancies in her later years, which may have been symptoms of her underlying illness. Her death ended the Catholic Restoration and allowed her half-sister, Elizabeth, to ascend to the throne. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Thank you for watching, and ring that bell to receive notification on new videos.
Reign of Queen Elizabeth I, 1550-1603. Elizabeth became queen on November 17, 1558, following the death of Mary IV. At the age of 25, she inherited a nation deeply divided by religious conflict and burdened with debt. Her reign, known as the Elizabethan era, was marked by political and social stability, economic prosperity, and cultural flourishing. Some key events during her reign include 1559, the Elizabethan religious settlement. Elizabeth established the Church of England as a middle ground between Catholicism and Protestantism, aiming to create religious peace. This settlement was solidified by the Acts of Supremacy and Uniformity. Mary, Queen of Scots, imprisoned. Elizabeth's Catholic cousin and a rival claimant to the English throne, Mary, Queen of Scots, fled to England and was placed under house arrest for her own safety and as a precaution. 1587, execution of Mary, Queen of Scots. After years of plots against Elizabeth, including the Babington plot, Mary was tried and executed for treason. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Elizabeth. I was deeply conflicted over the execution of her cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots, and the event caused her significant personal and political suffering. She was extremely hesitant to sign the death warrant, partly out of fear of setting a dangerous precedent for the execution of an anointed monarch. After Mary was executed, Elizabeth became enraged with her advisors, particularly her secretary William Davison, and claimed the execution was carried out against her will. This display of anger was likely a public performance to distance herself from the act and its potential repercussions, both domestically and internationally. However, historical accounts suggest that Elizabeth was genuinely distraught. She was known to have bouts of melancholy after the execution, and some sources claim she expressed regret and was haunted by Mary's ghost in her final days. While the execution ultimately secured her throne by removing the most significant Catholic claimant, it came at a great personal cost and stained her reputation in the eyes of many. Elizabeth's personal struggle with the decision and the potential consequences of executing her cousin Mary is explored in this video. Did Elizabeth I regret executing Mary, Queen of Scots? 1588. Defeat of the Spanish Armada. In one of the most famous naval battles in history, the English Navy, aided by bad weather, defeated the invincible Spanish Armada, which had been sent by King Philip II of Spain to invade England. This victory secured England's independence and established its naval power. No, Elizabeth I did not physically fight in the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588. While she was a strong and resolute monarch, her role was as the commander-in-chief and inspiring leader, not as a soldier on the battlefield. Her key contributions were political leadership. She authorized and funded the English fleet's preparation and was the ultimate decision-maker for the war effort against Spain. She appointed Lord Howard of Effingham to command the fleet, with Sir Francis Drake as his vice-admiral, and maintained a clear chain of command. Symbolic inspiration. Elizabeth famously delivered her speech to the troops at Tilbury, where she rallied her land forces waiting to defend against a potential Spanish invasion. In this iconic address, she declared, I know I have the body but of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too. This speech cemented her image as a powerful and courageous leader and boosted morale throughout England. The actual fighting was carried out by the English fleet, which was smaller but more agile than the Spanish Armada. The English ships, with their superior long-range guns, harassed the Spanish fleet in the English Channel, and a key fire ship attack at Calais broke the Armada's formation. Ultimately, a combination of English naval tactics and severe storms dealt the final blow to the Spanish fleet, securing England's victory. 1599, the Globe Theatre opens. The Elizabethan era was a time of great cultural achievement, particularly in the arts. Playwrights like William Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe created some of their most famous works during this period. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Elizabeth I never married, earning her the nickname the Virgin Queen. She died on March 24, 1603, at Richmond Palace, having ruled for 44 years. Her death marked the end of the Tudor dynasty. She was succeeded by James I, the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, who united the crowns of England and Scotland. Elizabeth Thorne's death was not a result of a coup, nor was it a complete mystery to her contemporaries. While a modern medical diagnosis is impossible, her final days were well documented, and the succession was handled with remarkable smoothness, preventing any major power struggle. The death of Elizabeth Thorne. Elizabeth I died on March 24, 1603, at Richmond Palace. In the weeks leading up to her death, she suffered from deep melancholy and physical decline, reportedly refusing to go to bed and remaining in a state of exhaustion. Her symptoms, including a sore throat and general weakness, have led historians to speculate on various causes, such as pneumonia, blood poisoning from lead-based makeup, or even cancer. The fact that a post-mortem was not permitted at the time has led to some of the mystery surrounding her death. However, her decline was observed and recorded by those around her, so it was not a sudden or suspicious event. The succession, crucially, there was no coup. The succession was largely pre-planned and executed efficiently. Despite Elizabeth's long-standing refusal to name a successor publicly, her chief advisor, Robert Cecil, had been in secret correspondence with James VI of Scotland for years. As the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and the great-great-grandson of King Henry VII, James had the strongest hereditary claim to the throne. Immediately upon Elizabeth's death, the Privy Council proclaimed James VI of Scotland as King James I of England. The news reached him in Edinburgh within days, and he travelled to London without resistance. The peaceful transfer of power, known as the Union of the Crowns, ended the Tudor dynasty and began the Stuart era, demonstrating the success of Cecil's diplomatic maneuvering and the general desire for a stable transition after decades of uncertainty. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Thank you for watching, and ring that bell to receive notification on new videos.